Hi, Deneen Shoemaker with your 420 Minute. There is a song called No Longer Slaves that, as it goes throughout the song and builds and builds, if you will, it gets to this climax where it's this very powerful vocal, and they're saying, "You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears are drowned in perfect love." And I remember when I heard that for the very first time, it sort of made that story in Exodus come alive for me. Like, okay, we've talked about the splitting of the Red Sea, but my fears are drowned in perfect love. So, out of Exodus 14, we read that basically Moses was attuned to God. God spoke to Moses, and Moses could hear God. And Moses got these instructions that the Israelites, the ones who were running around in the desert trying to get away from the slavery of the Egyptians, he says, turn back. And they're completely confused about this because they're running. They're trying to get away from the Pharaoh and his army. But God says to them, it'll confuse them, and you got to trust me on this. So we pick up in Exodus 14, where when the word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their mind. "What have we done letting all those Israelite slaves get away?" they asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot and called up his troops, and he took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots, and each with its commander. And it says that the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so that he would chase after the people of Israel who had left with fists raised in defiance. So it says that the Egyptian army did chase after them with all the forces in the Pharaoh's army. Oh, all right. So as the people of Israel saw Pharaoh's army approaching, they basically look at Moses and they're not happy. And they cry out, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said to you, leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness." Are you there? Are you there? Or are you ready to break free and risk being a corpse in the wilderness? But in the end, we're going to see here in just a second. Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm." So, now, here's what I love. We hear about the Red Sea parting. We hear about, the Egyptian army being engulfed in the water after the Israelites made it to the other side and had their freedom. And then the rest of the chariots get swallowed up. But here's what I love. The Lord says to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell your people to get moving. Pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea. divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. Now, what that says to me is that, yes, God can part the sea. He can move mountains. God can do whatever needs to be done in our life. But not if we just sit there. It's almost like, I don't know, I haven't really read that much into it, but it's almost like God's doing a little bit of a correction. Like, no. Don't just stand still. You got to move here. You got to do something. So that's my thought for you this week. Are you willing to put your staff in the water? Are you willing to dip your toe in the water? Because I really believe if you do, the Red Sea can be parted for you too. Your fears, much like what the Egyptian soldiers symbolize, will be drowned in perfect love. I believe that. So, hope that's helpful. I hope you have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. Grace and peace all.